right, so we're here in what we call a Pilates V, which means my heels are together and my toes are 1 fist distance apart. I've got light weights, usually 1 to 2 pounds, 3 would be your max. I'm using cans, and I've got my arms out in front of me with my palms face up, pulling my stomach in. And I'm gonna do 5 of everything. So I can do this whole series if I want with my heels lifted to increase the difficulty and add a balance component in. I could also, if I want, lift my heels as I do the curl and lower my heels as I uncurl. But what I want to make sure that doesn't happen is that I'm not shifting backwards. So I'm slightly forward of center as I lift my heels and even as I lower my heels. I'm wearing shoes right now, which isn't helping, so I'm taking them off. All right, so next, Eric's gonna call out the next one in the series,
90 degrees side,
which is to go a little wider. So now I'm in a letter V with my arms. Again, I can be with my heels down, with my heels up, or I can do a combination where I lift my heels as I curl, my stomach is pulling in and up, and I lower my heels without shifting backwards as I uncurl. And again, I'm here for 5 repetitions. My stomach is pulling in and up. The balance piece just adds an additional layer of difficulty, but it's not mandatory. All right, what's next, Eric?
try facing the camera because I'm not sure if you can see how distant your arms
Eric wants me to turn towards you so you can see him in a letter V. Okay, so I was here, then I went to about that wide.
Standing curls.
Standing curls are
Basic.
just the low curls. So that's down by my sides. My elbows are glued in. Again, I can keep my heels down if I want. I can keep them up, or I can do the combination. Either way, my stomach's pulling in and up, and my weight is shifted slightly forward. If I am using light weights, which I am, I can increase the level of difficulty as well by imagining the weights are heavier and moving as though the weights are heavier. So I don't want to fling my arms. They're glued in by my sides. I'm going to lift my heels for the last 3. I'm just going to keep them up. Looking straight ahead helps with balance as well. And just make sure the V that you're standing in is not too wide so your heels stay connected. That assists with your balance.
Like
Eric wants me to turn slightly.
Yeah, so you can see where the side is.
All right, what's next, Eric?
Boxing.
Boxing. This was the tricky one. So I'm going to stand parallel hip bone distance apart. I'm going to come down into what looks like a tabletop with my back, a flat back. My stomach is pulling in and up. My front arm is always going to go with the palm face down, and my back arm is with the palm face up. I keep my elbows high and my stomach pulled in as I switch. So back arm, palm face up, front arm, palm face down, elbows high and stomach in as I make the switches. And again, about 5 sets. My gaze for this one is going to be where the floor meets the wall. I don't want to be looking up, and I don't want to be looking straight down because I want my head in line with my spine. When I'm ready to come out of this, I heel toe my feet back into that V with my big toes a fist distance apart. I let my arms hang and my head hang. My knees are still bent. And as I roll up, my legs straighten. Okay, what's next?
Side to side.
Side to side, I'm going to face you so you can see. I'm in my narrow V. This one is also called mermaid. So I'm shaving the side of the head. I'm then side bending up and over. I keep reaching to the wall that I was just stretching to as I come back up. So I'm reluctant to come back out of it. And if you watch yourself when you do this one, it's helpful because you want your head to travel in the center of your 2 shoulders at all times. However close your arm is to your ear, when you come into the exercise, you want it to stay that close as you side bend. Another thing to think about is that there's equal weight on both feet, and that the movement is happening from the waist up, from the waist to the fingertips, but not from the hips down. Okay, so 3 sets of those is plenty. What's next?
Bug.
The bug. I'm going back into that parallel hip bone distance stance, coming back into a flat back, stomach pulled in and up. My gaze is to where the floor meets the wall. The weights are touching. I'm gonna open my arms out like a fly with a little bit of a bend in my elbows, and then I'm gonna come back and the arms straighten as the weights touch again at the bottom. Open the arms, turn a little bit sideways, and the weights touch again. Stomach is pulling in and up. And again, 5 is plenty. Keep your knees bent. You should feel this in your back muscles. What? Okay. So now I'm heel toeing back into my letter V. I'm going to let my head hang. As I roll up, my legs straighten. The zip up is next. For these, you want the heads of the weight to touch, head to head. And your arms are glued in tight by your body. For this one, I'm going to add the difficulty by lifting my heels. So as I zip up, I'm going to lift my heels. And as I unzip, I'm lowering my heels without shifting back. The elbows go high and wide, but the shoulders stay down. And the stomach pulls in and up, as always. I'm squeezing my butt right now as well because I'm lifting my heels and lowering my heels, so my inner thighs and my bottom are active, but you don't have to lift the heels. You could just do the back component of it. So this is for your lats, for the side of your back right here, which is a big area that we target in Pilates. What's next?
Shaving
Okay, so for shaving, these cans are not ideal, so I'm just gonna do it with my hands. But you wanna make, you just do it with your hands, you make a triangle. If you're doing it with the weights, they're gonna kind of look like a letter V behind your head, like so. So I'll just do it with these candles. I'm gonna keep my heels down for this one. My elbows are wide. I'm in my letter V with my feet as well, and my weights are in a V. And I'm gonna stretch my arms up as high as I can. They may or may not fully straighten. Mine don't fully straighten. And then you're gonna bend the elbows back wide to the side and keep those elbows really, really wide. Go straight up as high as you can, and straight down, elbows wide. You go all the way to the back of your neck if you can. And we'll do 5. Stomach pulling in and up, even though the heels are down for this one. And what's up next, Eric?
low curls.
Okay, so then for the low curls, I'm gonna grab my cans again. I'm coming back into my parallel stance, hip bone distance apart, flat back that we've been in several times before. These are for the triceps. So my elbows are glued in tight to my sides. My gaze is to where the floor meets the wall. So I'm in a flat back with a flat neck in line with my spine. I'm just gonna stretch back and bend in. My stomach's pulling in and up. And I'm pretending the weights are heavier than they are. I always tell my clients to imagine that they're using 8-pound weights when they do this. If you make your brain believe that the weights are that heavy, your brain will register this as heavy weight, even though it's light. Once I've done 5, I'm gonna turn my palms face up. I'm gonna do little pulses here for 5. And then I'm gonna let my arms hang and my head hang. Heel toe my feet back into the V. My knees are still bent, and then I'm rolling up, straightening my legs. And what's up next, Eric?
Chest expansion.
Chest expansion. So this is the one where you can make it as challenging or as not challenging as you like. So I'm gonna break it into parts, and you can keep going with it or you can scale back. All right, so the arms start in front of you at shoulder height. Stomach is pulled in and up. I'm standing in my little V. I'm gonna take an inhale, reach the weights just slightly behind me like I'm cracking a walnut back there. Hold my breath, hold the position. And exhale, return the arms back just to shoulder height, like you've got them on a table in front of you. So now if I wanna go a little bit more challenging, I can inhale, lift my heels as I reach the arms back just behind me, crack a walnut, hold my breath, hold the position. Exhale without shifting backwards. I stay forward to center. I return my arms back in front of me. Inhale, heels lift, arms go back, hold the breath, crack a walnut. Exhale, heels lower without shifting back, arms return. So now another layer of difficulty. I'm gonna keep my heels down at first. I'm gonna inhale, reach back. Open the chest, hold the breath. I'm gonna look over one shoulder. I'm gonna look over the other shoulder. I'm gonna look center. Exhale, return my arms back to that imaginary table in front of me. Inhale, reach back. This time I'm gonna reverse which way I look first. So now I'm looking left, right, center. Finally, if I wanna put it all together, I'm gonna inhale, lift my heels as I reach back, open my chest, hold my breath, look side, side, center. Exhale, lower the heels as I return the arms to shoulder height. And last time, inhale, lift my heels, they stay connected, that helps with balance. Open the chest, hold the breath, I'm forward or center. And I reverse which way I turn to look first. And center. Exhale, lower the heels without shifting back. And return the arms to shoulder height. All right, what's up next? Sparklers, I'm gonna use the candles because you'd wanna hold the weights by the head of the weight for these, and I'm standing in my V. I'm gonna make it more difficult by lifting my heels as I go and lowering my heels as I come down. So I'm gonna make little, teeny, tiny circles as my arms lift and lift and lift. My stomach pulls in more and more and more. My heels lift higher and higher and higher. I've now hit the ceiling, so I'm gonna come back down, and I'm reversing the direction of the circles as I come down. I keep the arms pretty narrow for this one, they're not going super wide. So again, I'm lifting my heels as I make these little circles, holding the weights by the head. My heels come to their highest high as my arms are at their highest high. And then reversing the circles, my heels are lowering as the arms are coming down. You don't have to do the heel lifting part, just makes it more challenging. So for the last one, I'm gonna keep my heels down and just do the little sparklers up. Stomach pulls in and up. Arms go higher and higher. Reversing the circles, little circles. And arms come lower and lower and lower. And what's up next?
Fencing.
Fencing is the most challenging one of the series. And there's more layers of difficulty as per usual. So I'm gonna start more basic and then I'll show you a way to make it a little more intense. So I'm standing in what we call a third position in ballet, which means my right heel is in my left arch. This is ballet third position. And because my right leg is in front, my right arm is also in front. And I'm gonna lunge out. And when I do so, my front knee will be bent and I'm getting low with my back. Make sure you can see me. So here I go, I'm lunging out, right arm in front, right leg in front. My back leg stays straight, but the front knee bends. I'm coming into this lunge and my arms go in front of me right at shoulder height and my gaze is to where the floor meets the wall. And then I come back into that third position in bent arms with the right arm in front and right foot in front. And again, I go out. Front knee is bent, I'm low, and I come back and my stomach is pulling in as I go into this lunge. I'm gonna show you the increased level of difficulty on this last one here. I'm gonna do 3 on each side. Out I go, and I'm gonna lift and lower my arms 3, just small. 2 and 1, and come back. I'm gonna do the other side. So now my left foot is in front, left heel in the right arch, left arm is in front. I'm gonna go out low, stomach in, and come back. And again, lunge out. Get low, stomach in, and come back. On the last one, I'm gonna add that extra piece to make it a little more challenging. Lunge out. And we're gonna lift and lower the arms just small 3 times and come back. And there's your arm sequence. 3 other bonus ones for you. All right, so we have hug a tree. Similar to the bug that we did in the parallel stance bent over, but this one's done standing in that Pilates V. Arms at shoulder height, stomach pulled in and up. I can keep my heels down the whole time or up the whole time, it's up to you. And the elbows are just slightly bent, but the arms are fairly straight. I'm gonna open only as wide as I can still see the weights in my peripheral vision, and I'm gonna close. And the arms should be where the weights are no higher than your sternum, which is right in between your bra. So I'm opening and closing the arms. As I do this though, my body should not shift at all. So I'm squeezing my bottom and my inner thighs are engaged. If I lift my heels, they're engaged even more. My weight is ever so slightly pitched forward. And again, I don't want to go so wide that I lose sight of the weights. Another pitfall is that people's arms start to lift up a little higher. So just in line with the sternum, very slight bend in the elbows. If you're actually using weights, unlike I am, then your fingertips will actually come to touch the way you're holding the weights. So you don't want to hold them in a fist, but you want to hold them with long fingers, with the fingers touching, and your middle finger specifically will come to touch right in line with your sternum, and you'll do 5. And then big circles. So anytime you can hold your weights with long fingers, for the most part, we want to in Pilates, with the exception of like those tricep ones we did earlier. So here you are with your big circles. I like to do it with my palms face up, but it can be done with the palms face down. You can have heels down or heels up, but I'm in that V again. And I'll just lift my heels the whole time. I'm gonna make a circle only as big as I can still see the weights in my peripheral vision, and nothing in my torso shifts. So big circles are good, but I still have to be able to see my weights, and I have to be able to keep the center of me, my trunk, totally still. So you do 3 to 5 in each direction. And when you reverse direction, make sure the weights don't go behind you. But again, you can still see them in your periphery the whole time, and nothing is shifting other than your arms moving from your back. And I've done mine with the palms face up here. And then I'm gonna lower my heels when I finish that. Lastly, this one's a men's exercise, but it's kind of a fun challenge. And so if you're sitting in a chair for this one, it is another version of boxing. I have my elbows bent, and I'm gonna show you like the most vigorous version, but it's kind of fun. So you can actually start fairly upright, but as though you're boxing. So if you're boxing, you're gonna kind of cross your body with your weights. So I'm gonna go down, 2, 3, 4, and up, 2, 3, 4. So my torso is shifting to give me that power that I would want if I were actually punching somebody, right? So I'm gonna go stomach in and up, and I'm gonna go down, 2, 3, 4, and up, 2, 3, 4. So my body is moving with my arms. And it just kind of gets the heart rate up, and it's nice and vigorous. And then coming back up, you're trying to keep the lower body still because that's your stabilizer. Punching and punching and punching and punching. This one, you could keep the fingers more like a fist, because that's how you would do a boxing exercise. And again, this one's a men's exercise. So a man isn't going to have long ballet-like fingers, right? They're going to want to make a fist like they're punching. We'll do one more here. Lower body still, and I'm punching and punching and punching and punching as I go down. And then I'm coming back up to a more upright position to finish, elbows in tight. All right, that should give you plenty of ones to work with.